Innocence of the Sea was my first dive into making 3D animated short films. It tells the story of a baby water dragon, his family, and rescuing him when he is slurped up by the Hydroptera, aka this guy. I created the assets, developed the story, animated, composed the soundtrack with the help of a family member, and rendered the entire thing on my own. An ocean of thought went into this film, and if you haven't seen it already, I recommend checking it out. I'll link it here and at the end of the video in case you want to watch this one first. But this is your warning. Huge and massive spoilers. Okay, let's go into part 1, pre-production. I actually did a stupid when preparing to make this film, and that stupid was not storyboarding it before I started animating. Well, it's not that stupid. Well, answer me this. Would you rather spend 10 hours planning with a storyboard, or spend weeks in the layout stage trying to visualize what on earth it should look like and roughly how long each camera shot should be and then the position everything should be in? I speak from experience. Storyboard your big projects. Apart from that, the other parts of pre-productions were relatively smooth sailing. I simply made the assets, arranged them in a few set pieces for ease, and created/updated the dragon models. Quick aside, I know a lot of you think that this looks like this, and that's fine if you do, but I updated the dragon design to avoid confusion going forward. Anyways, back to pre-production. Once everything was ready to go, I began testing how everything looked together with lighting and volumetrics. When I was happy with my tests, it was time for part 2, production! When it came to animation, apart from the layout stage, I actually did a smart! I knew that I could not let myself start to hate this project because if I did, I would probably not want to work on it. So I broke the entire film up into smaller segments that could be easily done in 1 to 3 days, depending on the complexity of the shot, of course. This let me feel like I was achieving something and also helped me measure how far along I was in the animation process. I was able to keep a good relationship with the project and not start to hate it, which, as many of you who are artists will know, that's a very good thing. Once all the animation work was done, it was time to move on to getting the scenes ready for rendering. That included lighting, fish simulations, and double-checking for animation issues. Anyways, part 3, rendering and editing. Y'all, I spent so many days rendering, it's not even funny. Like, out of the 3-ish months it took to make this, rendering took about 1/3 of it, and I was actually concerned that the film wouldn't be done by the end of August like I promised in the trailer because of how much time it took to render, and that's not even to mention how my computer seemed to have a stroke towards the end and forgot it had a GPU for some reason. Obviously it's fine now, but that was really stressful. Oh yeah, and I also had to spend so much time re-rendering stuff because of visual glitches, obvious faults that I somehow didn't catch in the animation, or just the computer taking a vacation halfway through the 14-hour render. So yeah, rendering was stressful. Editing the sea of footage was easier, because I had already split it into sections and planned out how I wanted everything to flow together, and I mean literally. Part 4, storyboarding would have made this easier. If I did my job as an animator/editor, then most of the shots of this film should seem like they fit together in some way, and also advance the story. It's like a puzzle. Pieces must not only fit together, but also contribute to the full picture of the puzzle. Well, that sounds nice and all, but it's just a short film. It's really not that deep. Yes it is, and I'll show you how. We start with some simple shots of the mom and the baby dragon swimming together. What can you tell me from these few shots? Well, I'm hoping that you learn that the mom and baby obviously really love each other and that they live in the ocean. How could you tell this? By the establishing shots of the reef and the actions of the characters. This is how you tell a story. But there's also an editing component that makes all these shots stream together. If you're paying close attention, then you'll notice all these shots are either having characters or camera movement move to the right. This is really important because without it, you have no sense of unity within the shots. With all that being said, I'm now going to break down more scenes in this film, starting with this shot. Hey y'all, editing me here, letting you know that I will be putting a little thing in the corner of the screen, letting you know the rough movement of the camera shot so that you can see how they all fit together and help create cohesion. I will also be putting a little synopsis in the corner here to show you the kinds of things I was thinking about when creating the shot, including the purpose of the shot or like what it establishes, that kind of thing. Anyways, enjoy. Here's where the urchin thing is introduced. Its purpose is to let the audience know that this thing is in fact a thing in the story, and the mom dragon senses danger in allowing her baby near it. I mean, can you blame her? The single spine is longer than his entire body. We then move to establishing that those dragons we saw earlier are actually the rest of the family. The sun disappears and they all go off to bed. To establish that the baby here is playful, he swims around and chirps before the mom tells him to go to sleep. Now we're in Act 2. The camera slowly pans around the baby's head to reveal the Hydroptera stalking the baby from the shadows. We then cut to a close-up of the face of this hydronath, which hopefully, if I did everything right, reveals its intentions. The hydronath motions and calls for the baby to come closer, and since he's curious as we established earlier, he goes to check out this mysterious creature before he slurps up the baby dragon. We then see that the whole hydropterapod is woken up by this, and we see the mom's reaction to what just happened, and she's not a happy camper. Once again, the shots are connected by character movements as we are led outside the reef's safety, as indicated by the dull colors that contrast the reef's bright ones here. We also see the mom's reaction to this and her renewed determination. The hydropterapod restrains the bad guy, but are unable to slow it down much. The nuisance of this act, however, causes the hydronath to cough up the baby, and I draw special attention to this by punching in the camera twice on the baby and showing the mom's reaction. This series of shots also cues the audience in, as well as the characters, on how to rescue the baby. The mom spots the urchin things established earlier and recoils when she tries to pick it up, which establishes that it hurts. She takes it to the surface, and with a slow-mo shot she flings it at the hydronath, and it's implied through the zoom and the hydronath's reaction that it hurts like the dickens. To which, as established earlier, it opens its jaws. One of the Hydroptera swoops in to rescue the baby, and the hydronath swims away. However, the child is desaturated and goes limp. As opposed to the previous few shots of the motion moving to the right, the blue Hydroptera picks up the baby and moves to the left, signaling a subtle change in story direction. We see the pod's reactions to how the baby might not be alive and how sad they all feel. We then get a close-up of the baby's face for the reveal that he is in fact alive, but he's traumatized by the experience. The pod gathers around to comfort the mom and baby, and the screen fades to black, signaling the end of the story. Of course, all of that is made much more impactful with the addition of music. So, part 5! I've never written music before. As I started thinking about what music to put in the film, I came to the realization that no publicly available music, such as those from the YouTube audio library, were going to perfectly fit into what I wanted to convey in the film. So I decided that an original soundtrack was in order. So me, with the help of Timothious, making the soundtrack was really tedious and would not good content make. So instead, I'm gonna break down the musical storytelling of the film. Let's start at the beginning. So the opening of the film starts with this harmony and for the intro, and then moves into one of the most important melodies used in the score. That right there is what I call the Hydroptera theme, and those 4 notes are used to define the Hydroptera musically. You hear it everywhere in these opening shots. Another musical theme established in the opening is what I call the family theme, and it sounds like this. And you'll hear it when the family is together, or there's something happening that relates to their unity. There is a third musically important moment that is established early on, and that is this. This little represents the baby's curiosity, and hence why I will be calling it the curiosity theme. It becomes really important later, so hold that thought. Anyways, the baby returns to his mom, we hear a full version of the Hydroptera theme. And everyone goes to bed. We then hear a slowed version of the Hydroptera theme, which helps bring the energy down as we enter the next act of the film. The next scene opens with the establishment of the Hydronath theme. Remember how I said that the baby's curiosity theme would come back? Well, here it is. Now, this scene has a lot going on musically, so instead of explaining everything, I'm gonna play the clip without any Foley sounds, and I want you to just listen to all the established themes and how they play into each other. If you were paying a lot of attention, then you might have noticed that the musical themes are almost having a conversation. It's almost like they're all talking to each other to determine what happens next in the film, while also working to build tension and suspense. So the Hydroneth slurps up the child, and we get some frantic scale runs, and then we get to the chase music as they try to attack the Hydroneth. You may also notice that the Hydroneth and the family themes are competing here. The Hydroneth coughs up the baby, and we hear the Hydroptera theme as he does. We then hear a variation of the family theme play as the mom retrieves the urchin. And the Hydroptera theme as she flings it at the Hydroneth. The baby is retrieved, and we hear an ominous version of the family theme combined with the Hydroptera theme, as it looks like the baby didn't survive. The baby then wakes up, and we hear the family theme a little bit more prominently. All this ends on a chord with the Hydroptera theme playing one last time. I would also like to point out that there's a theme missing from this ending scene that has been linked to the baby dragon here, and that's the curiosity theme. After he gets snatched, the curiosity theme never comes back, even after he's rescued. Why? Well, because he may have survived, but his curiosity did not. He lived, but his innocence about the world did not. I hope the title of the short film makes more sense now. Part 6, Afterward. I really enjoyed making Innocence of the Sea, and while there were parts that certainly made me want to pull my hair out, when I saw the months of hard work come together, I was proud of how it did. Now I'm off to slave over my next project. And hey, if you liked Innocence of the Sea, I have plans in the works for more short films. If you want, you can subscribe to be updated with future content from me. But anyways, thanks for watching till the end, and I hope to catch you later.